Good morning. So I recently, I know that earlier this week there was this huge buzz that started on social media. It was about Stripe. I am in several different technology groups, and there was a lot of freak out, a lot of panic, a lot of, oh my gosh, what is Stripe doing? So a lot of you know me in the area of business strategy coaching. Some of you know me as a healer. I do a combination of things. At the end of the day, part of my long-standing love is technology, and I love to geek out on the back end of systems and how they run and how they operate. And to say, you know what, we're going to do a live stream and have a conversation about this. And I brought somebody with me who is a trusted colleague of mine. He's from one of my networking groups, and he is the perfect person to help bring some light to this conversation, because even if you have very little technical acumen, you know that you like to have your clients be able to pull out a credit card, pay you online, and for you to be able to go have dinner at the end of the weekend and not have to worry about if Stripe is holding your money. So I actually know some people that have literally had multiple thousands of dollars that are being held sort of inexplicably all of a sudden. And it creates quite a bit of panic. So I think this is a really critical thing, which whether you avoid money or you love money, this is something for you to know about. So I'm super excited to be welcoming Joel Truss to my conversation here today. And I'm going to do a very brief introduction because I don't like to read long bios, but just to give you a little heads up on Joel, and then I'm going to let him introduce himself. So for after 20 years leading multi-award-winning consultative merchant services sales teams at Bank of America and First Data, now called Fiserv, did I say that right?
Awesome.
Fiserv, there we go. See? Uh, Joel is now the founder and CEO of Paymentum. Paymentum serves small business owners throughout the country with their payments, printing, and promotional needs. So he has more than one skill available, and I can attest to having him as a great resource. So Joel, go ahead and tell them a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you got to doing what you do.
Yeah, so payments industry found me over 20 years ago, and I've really enjoyed seeing the evolution over the years of what used to be very basic terminal stand on the counter solutions to much more integrated solutions and e-commerce and we're in a model today where integration is critical for a lot of businesses. So it's been fun to be part of that evolution and to bring more value to people in addition to having good competitive rates and being available for merchants. So, what I consider my differentiation, one, experience is part of the equation. It's important, but being available and being able to provide options for clients is really where I feel I specialize.
Right. So I know that for a lot of people, they just think, I don't know, really, I think a lot of people don't even think about it. They just think PayPal or Stripe these days is like pretty much taking the top, that's taken the lead. And when people think of that, that's typically where they go if they're online. Most of my people are online. I know Clover and some of the other things. And I know that you are exposed to a lot of these, a lot of different aspects. So I think I'm going to have this sort of like let you take the reins. I'm going to drop in and ask any questions that I think those who are listening might be like, what does that mean? Since I have a layman's ear for this side of the fence. And so I'm going to go ahead. I know that we said that you could share your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and turn that part on and let you take it away.
All right. Well, sounds great. Let me...
It's like we're looking down a hall.
Yeah. Well, so we'll start with why this conversation is pertinent right now. So, Stripe has for years had policy on businesses that are restricted or outright have limitations. So for years I've helped businesses that have had funds held or even been shut down. And I'll start by saying I think Stripe does a great job in a lot of ways. They have a low code, no code solution that makes for easy integration. But there is, with those restrictions in place, I think people have to think about the alternatives. And you don't want to be thinking about an alternative at the point of being shut down or delayed. I think, being proactive in knowing what else is out there is important. As I look at my portfolio of options, there's 9 different gateways that I have, that I sell, and that fit for different reasons. So as we look at the, Stripe hasn't, to my understanding, hasn't really changed their policy, but they're enforcing it much more than they have in the past. So we're seeing more people be impacted by held funds or having their accounts shut down. And I've definitely seen a tick up really in the last week or two of merchants that have been impacted. So the timing is particularly important right now.
Okay.
What I wanted to share was, just first off, from an integration standpoint. So, I think when it comes to integration with something like Go High Level, there are other options other than Stripe. So I think, Stripe is familiar, it's easy entry. You don't have the same credit check you have with other solutions. And for that reason, a lot of people start there. But you'll see with Go High Level, there are other integrations. Authorize.net and NMI are 2 that I sell, that I have trust with. Authorize.net in particular has been one that I've actually been involved with for 20 years and has hundreds, if not thousands, of integrations with different tools and resources out there.
Oh, okay.
So it is a familiar commodity. Authorize.net is owned by Visa, and they're actually about to go through a huge kind of branding refresh. So here in the next couple of months, what is now looks a little legacy when you look at the user interface is about to go through kind of a refresh. So it is a great solution. NMI is also a great solution, a familiar solution, been out there for a long time, a very trusted tool that has quite a few integrations.
Okay. That's good to know. I think a lot of people get so like glazed over with integrations that they just assume that Stripe's the only solution because it's used as a easy, like you said, it's easier interface, which of course those of us who spend time in the tech side of the world know that that counts for a lot.
Absolutely. So what I wanted to do, Mega, if you're right, I'd like to show kind of 3 different solutions. And I strategically picked these 3 because they're different enough that they offer different features, but they're all 3 are great solutions. And I'll actually, by saying different features, when I have a consultation conversation, typically I'm going to ask questions to try and uncover what features are important to you as a business owner. So, and a lot of that is how you interact with your clients. So understanding whether you need retail devices. If you're doing events where you're in person, there is a benefit to accepting transactions in person and getting a tap, a dip, or a swipe. And we would want to vet out whether that's important and how important it is. Is it 1 transaction a year? That's we would treat that different than if you're doing that every month. ACH, whether we're looking to take e-checks, fraud prevention tools. If you're experiencing chargebacks, or if that's a concern, or if you have a lot of future deliverables, there's great solutions like 3DS that can help with buyer authentication. And a lot of those tools are embedded right in the solution and are something that has either minimal or no cost. Cash discount and surcharging. So, is something that's available in most of the tools. So if you're looking actually to have a percentage added to the transaction, or dual pricing type of scenario, we would go through what that looks like and how that would appear in the tool.
Can I ask a question about that? Because
Sure.
I'm really going retro because my first company 25 years ago, I remember with authorize.net, it was illegal to upcharge or to charge people for the basically the passing on of the transaction fees. So what has changed and what are the rules connected to that markup or markdown?
So we could have our own 20, 30-minute call just on that topic. But at a high level, um, it has to be communicated. It has to be transparent. Usually in a more retail setting, dual pricing is the recommendation, where posted pricing includes both a cash price and a card price. In an e-commerce setting, again, it comes down to transparent communication and how a fee. The other, I guess, the piece of this that comes in an e-commerce, do they have an alternative form of payment available? So do they have, is there something else that can be less expensive? And part of that is that comes down to that dual pricing or dual payment communication. So if, say, ACH is a cheaper way to transact and the customer gets a discount for that form of a transaction, you just want to make sure that is very transparent in the pricing. And I think it's individual conversation that we would kind of uncover how we're transacting, whether there's a retail component and how that would be priced. But almost all of the solutions have a surcharge component that can be that can make sure you're doing it appropriately, and it's also not being done in states where it's not allowed. There are certain types of surcharging that are not allowed in certain areas of the country.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that just a little bit, because I know that's one of the, I could pick on Jonathan's Grill around here. It's because I know they caused quite a buzz when they started passing on the 3% fee. So I was curious about that. So thank you.
You bet. Great question. I mean, other things that I'll just mention at a high level from features, card updater. So if you're doing subscriptions or memberships, you want to make sure that cards that are replaced that have new expiration dates are updated. That recurring billing or membership subscription is always a question that I would ask. Whether we're having cards vaulted for pre-approved transactions in the future is another feature. One that goes maybe overlooked that I think is incredibly important based on how I recommend pricing is level 2 and level 3.
Okay.
So I've always kind of equated this, if you think of the produce section on a grocery receipt, where it has the weight and tear and it has a little bit more information.
Right.
Well, kind of the same principle for level 3. The more information that you put in, the more information that's communicated on the back end through a solution that has level 3 payment. And when you provide more information, the interchange actually reduces. So this has nothing to do with my margin or anybody in my position, and more about actually achieving a better interchange rate, particularly on a business transaction. So if you're working with a lot of businesses that are paying with a business credit card, and you have that level 3 information on the communicated on the back end, you can actually reduce the interchange level that goes and see a wholesale cost.
Oh, wow.
Typically, I price using interchange plus or interchange pass through. And so you see that benefit. If you achieve a better interchange level, you're going to see and feel that discount in price.
Okay.
That makes sense? Or any questions?
That, you know what, that's extremely enlightening, because I think for a lot of us, it's like somebody just hands us a credit card and there's a credit card number, and then the backside of it is, wow, I just lost $15 on that sale or whatever it is, and we don't know really how to prevent it. So thank you for pointing that out. And I think that's one of the reasons why for people to be able to reach out to you and be like, "Oh, wow." I just don't, I think it's one of the interesting things is because of the predominance of PayPal and Square and Stripe and some of these big, really big ones. And, Authorize.net usually I find is more for people that are a little more sophisticated in terms of how they come about business or QuickBooks or whatever. I don't even think most people know where to go shop. So that's part of
Yeah,
my,
well, and I like to almost do the shopping for you. I think by asking the right questions and having all the variety of solutions that I have,
Mhm.
I can lean somebody to the top one or two that would fit them. And I'll give you the example of if somebody's a level three candidate where they're doing a lot of business transactions, it would make sense to enter that information on the back end. In my eyes, Accept Blue and Paytrace are the two gateways that do that the best.
Right.
And they communicate it the best. That's the other part. It has to communicate it properly on the back end for you to realize that benefit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that this has been, I think all of what you've just said is like gold. Um, and I hope that people really listen to this because it is something it's really important. So now I'm going to turn our screen share back on so that I now will let you talk without disrupting you with 15 questions.
All good. So just a couple more features, recurring billing and invoices. And then when it comes to integrations, actual shopping cart integration. So I would have different recommendations there. And then, your API integration. I think, for example, on the go high level, I mean, you have those options right there. And depending on what software is being used, if you go to the integrations or settings page, you'll usually see what options are used and available, and that kind of narrows things down. So at this point, I wanted to share three solutions that are a little bit different from one another. And so I think by seeing these, you'll get a vantage point for just a few different ways that you can transact and hopefully pique some interest for the audience. So the first one that I'll talk about is SensePass. What I like about SensePass is they do a great job of integrating multiple forms of payment. So whether you're using buy now, pay later solutions, whether you're using different digital wallets, Coinbase, there's over 100 different payment options available. If you have an international audience, you can use like an Alipay, which is not a typical payment that would be embedded. So hopefully I didn't get logged out. Good. All right. I'm still in the dashboard at a very high level. By the way, anything I show you right now is going to be a dummy account. So it's probably not going to have transactions, or it's going to have very few transactions. If we were going to process a payment request, I'm going to do this very fast, but we would enter the information. I've already done that. So if we were going to look at one of the transactions and resend a reminder, which I've actually already done, it's going to give me a link that will go, it timed out. It's going to go directly to payment. Now, this is a mobile optimized payment schedule. So you'll actually see in a web-based browser, it's a little narrow on the screen, but on a phone, it looks fantastic. And you'll see all those different payment options. With each one that you would click through, it would take you through the transaction for that particular card. So if you were tying a Venmo payment, a PayPal payment, a Coinbase or crypto payment, or a buy now, pay later, it would take you through that experience directly from this page. So again, I like this solution because a lot of people do want to take alternative forms of payment, and this is a solution that I think has a fantastic interface for doing just that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. I'm going to switch tools real quick and talk about Accept Blue. So Accept Blue is this is the solution that I actually think is fantastic for, and I'm going to re-log in here to an admin page. Again, it's a dummy account, so you'll see there's no actual transactions. but it's very simple to process a transaction. And what I like about this particular one, you have a lot of custom fields. Some of those custom fields, so you can put in whatever information you're looking to collect, and some of those custom fields relate back to the level 3 information that I mentioned earlier. So if we wanted to set that up, we would just go through the control panel. We would set up the level 3 settings. And once you set up a product with the correct information on the back end, you never have to set it up again. So it would, as long as you have a suite of products that is consistent, adding that product is probably the best way to do this and make sure that it communicates that level 3 information on the back end all the time. And again, by doing so, you see a reduction in interchange, which is going to improve your costs. So for that reason, I really like Accept Blue. I also, from a user interface, I find it really friendly. This also does the 3DS fraud settings and invoicing and recurring payments just really well. It's just a very simple solution. Doesn't take a lot of know-how to get in here and use it.
Okay, awesome.
And then the last solution that I'll mention is Authorize.net. I did get logged out.
Tell me when to turn back on. Where our Jeopardy music plays in.
Yeah, give me one more second.
The joys of technology.
It is a great feature that they they time things out, but a little inconvenient for a live demo.
Especially when someone's asked you 5 questions before.
That's all right. All right, you can turn that screen share back on.
Okay.
So here's what Authorize.net's it's a little busy. So but the left side has all the information, all the links that you would need. Authorize.net has a lot of integrations. So this is actually a tool that I see integrated with a variety of different softwares. From a payment standpoint, you can go directly into a payment. And then from a setting standpoint, this is where you would actually go through and set up any API credentials or keys that are pertinent to making sure that you're compatible with a certain type of software. It is going through a refresh. I've seen the new version. I'm not sure what date it's going to actually take place, but Visa has actually invested quite a bit in both kind of combining Authorize.net and CyberSource and some of the, which are the 2 gateways that Visa owns, and essentially expanding the feature set of both tools through kind of a combined look and feel. So it is about to go through a refresh, and again, has a lot of integrations, which makes it really attractive for somebody who's looking to coordinate with a software.
Yeah, I know. I've used it previously on like 3 or 4 different software projects I've managed, and it is, I think people, again, back to APIs and integration are like their own conversation, but yet a lot of people think there is no other choice. And so I want to point out to people that if you happen to, even if you think to yourself, you're in a solution that doesn't have, it looks like there's nothing but Stripe, but they have the integration section. There is a way to do an integration through Zapier usually, so that the payments still get processed, and then you could use a solution other than Stripe. So just in case you feel like you're like stuck with, and that's the only option, I think that it's important to, those are good reasons to talk to Joel. So just to interject that whole point.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So any other things?
No, I think, kind of the next natural step or conversation, if somebody's interested in having a conversation, specific to their business, my recommendation is to reach out to me first via email,
right?
Joel@paymentum.net. if you want to just, you can just share your contact information, or tell me a little bit about your business, maybe something that you're interested in. Let's schedule a quick call and, talk more specifically about what feature set is important to you. And certainly I'll go through, a few questions, make sure that we're on the right track and finding a solution that fits well for you, and give you an option, something else to consider, compared to, what you're doing today. Stripe has a standard price of 2.9 and 30 cents, which I would say is competitive, but not, it's definitely beatable. So especially if you're looking at, working with a consumer set that's sometimes using debit cards, or, using that level 3 feature, I feel very comfortable and confident that we can, compete both on the price standpoint, find a solution that may show you some cost savings, as well as find a solution that you can feel comfortable with long term, that you're not going to have funds held or experience getting shut down unexpectedly.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and expertise, and that there is actually some alternatives available. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.